How you doing, Cali Crowd? The hanging knee raise is a popular exercise for anybody looking to tax their midsection, build strength that can transfer to various calisthenic skills, and let's not beat around the bush, it really does help develop abs. There are 1,000,001 tutorials already on YouTube about how to do a hanging knee raise, but today I'm going to go through 3 cues that I feel are crucial to getting the most out of this exercise and go through why these 3 cues in particular are so important when getting the most out of hanging knee raises. Let's jump straight into it by discussing the first cue, which is the hang. The way we hang off the bar is usually step 1 of a multitude of mistakes that people make when doing this exercise. The active hang, where we depress our shoulders and take them away from our ears, is a key component in various calisthenics exercises such as pull-ups and dips. And so it's understandable why we look to get into an active hang for leg raises too, but this would be a mistake. The moment we go into an active hang, we encourage our backs to arch and engage the lats. So when we attempt to raise the legs, we end up with the posterior chain wanting to extend the spine and the anterior chain wanting to flex it. The posterior chain often wins this fight, so what you end up with is less of a hanging knee raise and more of a tucked front lever raise, with the rectus abdominis barely worked throughout this entire movement. We can avoid all this by maintaining a passive hang instead. By allowing the scapula to remain elevated, we reduce the involvement of the lats in this exercise, which will automatically improve the resting position of the hips, so that when we do raise the legs, we facilitate real range of motion from spinal flexion, not fake range from leaning backwards. The second cue to the hanging leg raise is all about breathing. Guys, breathing is killing your gains. When training this part of our body, our breathing is particularly important because how our breathing affects the contraction we can get on our abs. Try this experiment with me. Stand up and breathe in as much as you can. Really fill your lungs to bursting. Hold your breath, then try and tuck your tailbone under your spine, kind of similarly to what you would do in a hanging knee raise. Okay, really remember that feeling. Now, breathe out as much as you can. Really empty your lungs. Now hold your breath again and do the same hip tucking under movement. Which one did you feel your abs most engaged with? It would have been the one where you exhaled, right? This is because we want to be working with our diaphragm, not against it. By breathing out as we raise the legs, we get a deeper contraction as well as better engagement of the transverse abdominis, a muscle that wraps around your torso, providing stabilization. The cue to look for here is to breathe out and imagine pulling your belly button to your spine at the top of every leg raise. Get that engagement, get that deep contraction. The third and final cue is one I like to call push the button. Okay, let me explain. In the context of most exercises, we aim to get the biggest contraction we can in a muscle by taking the insertion and the origin of a muscle and bringing them as close together as we can in the concentric phase. The job of the rectus abdominis is trunk flexion. So to get that deep contraction we're looking for in the hanging knee raise, we shouldn't just raise the knees, but we really want to get our bums to a point where they're facing forwards with our knees really tucked into our chest. In the eccentric of most exercises, we follow this contraction with getting the biggest stretch under load that we can on a muscle. It is therefore understandable why after squeezing the abs at the top of the hanging knee raise, people feel it makes sense to bring the legs behind them and extend the spine to get that big stretch under load that we mentioned, but there are 2 problems with that. First, with our feet behind our body line, we shift our hips into deep anterior pelvic tilt and end up disengaging the abs. In fact, most of the movement of the knees from this point to about waist height will actually be driven by our hip flexors, not our rectus abdominis. The other problem is that the arch in the back is a pattern that we spend most of our fitness journey trying to eliminate. And by swinging the legs back, we are instilling this pattern that is very difficult to unlearn. We can rectify both these issues by pushing the button. By visualizing an imaginary button on the floor ahead of our body line and imagining pushing it with our feet at the bottom of every hanging knee raise rep, we keep the hips neutral to posteriorly tilted. This has the double effect of cutting out most of the part of the movement that's primarily driven by the hip flexors and getting us more time under tension in the abs, which have to hold the legs ahead of the body at the bottom of the movement. And as we know, time under tension is a really key facilitator of muscle growth. Use these cues to take your hanging knee raises to the next level. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section as well. Join in the discussion. Like the video if it added value to you. And guys, I'll see you in the next one.